When your name is called, please proceed to the nearest microphone located in the aisle and give the white registration tab to the usher. When you approach the microphone, please
We are
flash your name
here
and
at
affiliation
the
if you wish to
MTA's
announce
Fair
them
and
from the
Toll
webcam podium.
Increase public
This is
hearing.
important so that we can be fair and
We
call.
have two breaking
We
news
ask you to
to
keep your
report.
remarks
We
or
have
2 minutes.
Tony
The
Murphy
clock
from the
below will
People's
indicate how much time you have
MTA.
remaining.
And
The
of
warning light will
course,
remind you that you have 30 seconds left to
William
conclude your
Stanford Jr., known
Now, if
as
you run out of
Mr.
time, you need to
X.
submit complete written testimony to supplement your oral testimony. This hearing site is accessible to people with mobility impaired, and sign language interpreters are also here tonight. Please silence your cell phone. The restrooms are located through the back doors of the hearing room. And if for any reason you need to leave the building and plan to come back, you will need to re-enter through the security check outside. Thank you for listening to all that. Now let me introduce the MTA Board of Directors and senior executive staff that are here. Board members, Acting MTA Chairman Fernando Ferrer, Andrew Albert, Norman Brown, David Jones, Susan Metzger, Charles Mertler, Mitch Pally, Peter Ward, Carl Weisbrod, MTA and Senior Executive Leadership, MTA Managing Director Ronnie Hakem, MTA President Patrick Boyd, MTA Chief Financial Officer Bob Coran, MTA New York City Transit President Andy Byford, MTA Bus Company President Daryl Eyer.
Oh God, here we go.
Tunnels President Cedric Hall.
Oh God, here we go. This night. Here we go. Oh God, People's MTA's fiasco.
George Bedman.
My name is George Bedman, and I am a Verizon Alliance member from Brooklyn. I work in Union Square for a major retailer making minimum wage. If I'm lucky, I get 20 hours per week. I'm here to testify against this unfair fair. It will be a great financial burden to me. I think it is only necessary that you improve service before asking for such a hike. Also, Albany needs to provide a solid source of funding for public transit. You can't keep that up and pay hourly bills. As you ask for more money, people will get stuck and end up finding other methods of transportation. The end result will be that you will end up with less revenue due to decreased ridership rather than more. I do not have to spell this out, but we hope the members of the board will have enough brains to figure this out. Fix the train to buses first, and then ask for more money. Fixing the switches and signal systems. Let's get to work more effectively. Let's get to work more effectively. I believe you have the manpower to get this done. Show the writing public that the system is getting better, then you will have a leg to stand on when asking for more money. And next year is not going to be a good year. It's not going to be a good year to ask for money because don't forget the yellow train is going to be shutting down. The service is definitely not going to get better. You're going to have to lose money in the short term to make money in the long term. But finally, please, don't rubber stamp this fair hike as you have done in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. X, followed by Gilder Feliciano. I just want to recognize that we've been joined by MTA Chief Development Officer Jana Lieber.
Oh God, here it comes. The unfamous William Stanford Jr.
I could be at home watching SmackDown instead of babysitting you. As I said before, the MTA business stands for Metropolitan Transportation Authority. It stands for money thrown away. Okay? We have the MTA Executive Director, Police and Behavior. We have the MTA Executive Director, Police and Behavior, wants to present that color. You can run a contract with the Stanford School of Management. They're both two pieces apart. They're both so stupid. Okay? This idiot who advertises public hearings in an untimely manner. If you November 15 on your website, at least once, I think a couple of points, and I saw nothing. November 16, I I don't see it on the whole page. November 18th, I see it on your whole page. Are you serious? Are you stuck on stupid? Are you confused? Are you stuck on stupid? Are you just mentally retarded? No. If you want us to testify your public hearings, you need to advertise on that timely manner.
Oh my
Hello. You
God.
can't advertise it at the 11th hour. You can't ask them like Big Daddy Kane.
I love y'all,
and
low
sing your
grade.
OTP like Noise by Nature. And you also can't sing your hardcore like ECW. Either get it together or throw the time like the Goldstone All Scholar, which we did for Bob Backlund many years ago. Just throw in the towel. If you can't get it right, if you can't advertise it on television, you shouldn't hold them. There's no excuse for that. And I'll let you know, the current MTA Executive Director already missed 2 public hearings. I was on 5 town business with Andy Bachman. I'm surprised she's here tonight. But I guess she's here because this is gun affair toll increases, and she wants to get her face glued to the camera. Maybe that's why she's here. I'm surprised she's
Mr.
here.
X is behaving very,
Because in the past, when
very
she mentioned the other 2
cynical.
public hearings, I asked her if she knows her because she knows something about it, and she didn't want to make it like Peter Calvin and the devil's disciple.
Oh,
Might be one of my first
God.
challengers.
Sir,
So-
please wrap up your
Okay,
remarks.
so to the MTA Executive, you need to advertise
Sir,
your
please
public
wrap up your
hearings
remarks.
in a timely manner, and you need a show, not no show, unless you're pregnant.
Oh God. Oh God.
Next
Mr.
speaker is Gilbert Feliciano, followed by Alexis Stewart. Mrs. Stewart.
Hello, my name is Alexis Stewart, and I'm from Educational Video Center. And right now we're working on a documentary about does the MTA try to disenfranchise low-income communities and communities of color. So, we have a couple questions. Will the fare increase fund ramps and elevators? Well, you can't answer the question. Will the bill, is the MTA spending more money on Wi-Fi and LCD screens instead of necessary repairs for the MTA? That's it.
Thank you.
Oh God.
David Baxter, followed by Anthony Cavallari. Hi everybody, my name is David Baxter. I live in Morningside Heights, really enjoyed my ride down here, coming across 26th Street in particular. It's very rewarding, thanks to Community Boards 4, 5, and 6 for approving that. It makes it possible to get here safely, so thank you for that and all the protected bike lanes out there. It's keeping me young, cycling is, the streets are so congested these days, it's really worse than ever. It's a danger to cyclists and pedestrians and to other motorists. And that's not to speak of the pollution that's caused by all the motoring, a lot of which is basically idling at times because it's so packed, it's so congested that folks can't move. I'm thinking of the nor'easter recently. Remember the nor'easter, anyone? In my neck of the woods, Upper Amsterdam Avenue, I looked down from my 15th floor apartment at about 11 p.m. and it was still backed up. Folks still were not moving or inching along. There were, during the time I was looking out my window, just feeling bad for everyone I was looking at, I think about 4 ambulances during that time were trying to get through, just inching along, sirens blaring, and just not getting anywhere. So there's so many reasons for congestion pricing. Encourage people to get out of their cars by improving transit. We've got to expand and refine and fix our transit system. And the proceeds from congestion pricing can help that along. It's, I think, close to $1 billion a year can be had from this. So let's do it. And let's keep building the protected bike lanes too. It's the only way to cycle around town safely. I think cycling and good transit complement each other as far as the health and the environmental integrity of our city is concerned. So let's go for it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anthony Cavallari, followed by Deborah Baldwin, followed by Alan Ginsberg.
Okay, my name is Anthony Cavallari of Queens. I'm 67 years old. I I've been driving the subway and the buses all my life, all 67 years. I've seen the deterioration of the system ever since the first illegal strike on the Lindsay, and continuing to today. No doubt this system needs money. But before you ask for one more penny, prove to us how the money is being spent that you're getting. We, the people, are demanding an independent, forensic, fiscal audit. Not done by the state, not done by the board, by the independent accounting firm, to prove to us that you really need the money, that you don't really have the money already, and you're not just spending your money.
To where you need to go. You guys take a bus, right? I'm sure you do. So you know what it's like? You're standing there, the sun is setting, the temperature's dropping, you're waiting to see if a bus is going to come, or maybe a gaggle of buses will come. I understand the need for money. I understand the system needs resources, but when I look around the bus and see who's depending on the bus to get where they need to go, I wonder, why are we balancing the books on the backs of these working New Yorkers? Can we find another way to do this? And can we improve service before we time a fare increase request? Albany should look into this. Albany should pay for it. Albany should help us out. Until then, improve service and put off the fare hike. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan Ginsberg, followed by Juan Castillo, followed by Sally Stroman.
Good evening. My name is Alan Ginsberg. I am from the Riders Alliance, and I also live in Manhattan, but I'm not one of those Manhattans with a six-figure income. I'm here today to speak out against the fare increase, although frankly, I think that it's rubber stamped and it'll just go along with it automatic. However, I'll just say this. For once, stop putting the burden on the average rider, who many of them are working class New Yorkers desperate to survive. Instead, have the guts and the courage to speak out against Governor Cuomo and the state legislature and tell us to fully fund our system that is in a state of collapse and frankly going to hell. Thank you.
Juan Castillo, followed by Sally Stroman, followed by Emery Hatchadu.
As you can see, I didn't get a chance to prepare a speech of my own. So, anyway, as you can see, I'm a disabled customer, and my mother and older brother are also disabled customers. And we always pay our fare $135. And anyway, we don't want to pay a lot more than what the fare has currently. We basically had enough of the fare hikes. And
there's MTA spokesperson, Shaz.
Fares and tolls on all metro cards, bridges, and we should spend money on whatever is as necessary, like building ramps on subway stations that have elevators that tend to break down very easily. And also, we should spend money on improving subway and bus service, like adding new SP select bus service lines to some 5 boroughs. Also, we should take the opportunity to invest on making improvements to Staten Island limited stop buses, which I'll have to bring that up another time. Also, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Sally Stroman, followed by Emery Hodgson.
Good evening. My name is Sally Stroman. I live on the Lower East Side. I am opposed against the fare increase. Not that we don't need it, but there's no improvement in our service. I live on an S-Line train station that stops on East Broadway. When your train comes in from Manhattan going to Brooklyn and vice versa, plus I had the M22 bus that stops on Madison and Rucker Street. When all three come into, at that particular stop, the bus stop and the two train stations, there's no way that you can go up and down the stairwell on the Madison Street side. At the other end of the subway turn, there are three entrances at East Broadway, which there is an escalator. There's no escalator on the Madison Street side. And I feel that there is a safety issue, being that mothers, elderly people have to walk down the stairs on the Madison Street side. Buses are crowded. There are not enough M22 buses. At certain points of the day, the M22 have multi-wheelchairs. They have elderly people getting on. The same thing with the Avenue A bus. There's 4 Ds to 1A. And we need service on the Lower East Side. Mr. Byford, I know in England you had several subway stations done about 3 or 4 years ago, and you did it on time, and you also drained, I think it was a river or a lake, to make sure a train went through that tunnel. You should look into that to help MTA. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Emery Hodgson, followed by Joseph Peters, followed by Trudy Mason.
Thank you. First of all, we can all agree that the MTA needs funding. The Fast Forward plan is going to reshape the transportation in the city and make our lives so much easier commuting to work, to school, and to home. I attended Andy Byford's Fast Forward open house, and I was amazed at what he and the rest of the MTA have been able to accomplish with this plan. And while a fare hike would definitely help with the funding of Fast Forward, it's possible that we don't need this, and this plan could possibly become reality simply by state and possibly federal funding. But if this cannot be achieved, I would support a fare hike, because I would support anything that would get Fast Forward through. But on the other hand, I would also say that when it comes to people who really who are pinching pennies and just don't hardly have enough money to get by, or struggling to pay the bills, or struggling to pay rent, they are already having trouble paying for everything, and it would be yet another burden on their backs to pay more for the subway. And I just don't think that this should be put on the people's hands. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph Peters, followed by Trudy Mason, followed by H.P. Schroer.
I just speak with the fair hike, because it don't make no kind of sense right now, because right now the service doesn't require, well, require improvement of the service. No, we need like, why can't I pay a high fare? I see people on the street, don't got no money, so I'm not working nowhere, they increase the fare, and you cannot make it. So I feel like right now, like, I heard that they're trying to get plans to get money for to improve the service. Now they're like, the mayor come to the mayor and the governor has to talk about some plans. The best thing for them to do is they have to get together to get some plans going.
Oh, Tony Murphy, you're a fiasco. Fiasco. People's MTA's fiasco.
Right now, They are repairing the stations right now, you know, on the Silver Line, that the Silver train don't go all the way because they're gonna modify the signals. That's on the fast forward. That's a good job, the whole thing. Like, I agree with the fast forward program for 10 years. The whole thing is, like, the whole thing, like, is gonna come anyway from the government. It'll make sure to push us, you know, to pay for that because that's not our job. The best thing they do, like, you gotta try to get a plan to get money for this fast forward. I agree with the fast forward program, you know. The system need to be modified, but the whole thing is right now, like, we're gonna make them come for the government. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Trudy Mason, followed by H.B. Schroer, followed by Councilman Yadanis Rodriguez.
Hi, my name is Trudy Mason. I'm appointed to the New York City Transit Riders Council by the Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer. I've got a whole, in my prepared statement, I've got a whole history, but I think all of you know about the PCAC and the TRC, and if not, you should. I am speaking on behalf of the Transit Riders Council. We recognize that this fare increase is necessary to keep our system functioning, and the TRC supports, as it has in the past, as long as there are no cuts to service. It is essential that the increased option selected offers the fairest deal for transit's best and most frequent customers, the New Yorkers who ride the subway system, and the buses every day. The last few years have been very difficult for transit riders, including me, and I'm going to, apart from my prepared statement, on my way over here, I was delayed close to 17 minutes. I took a count and I had the car number I was in on the number 6 train, where everybody was unceremoniously dumped on the platform at 68th Street after they figured out that there was a stuck door and it wasn't going to move, and it was back and forth and then pushed onto another train. So believe me, I not only sympathize but empathize with everybody sitting here. Anyway, we have all started to see some incremental improvements that began under the Subway Action Plan, but we have a long way to go to get consistently reliable service, like I didn't experience today. The Fast Forward Plan, which goes even further, presents an opportunity to make significant improvements to the transit system. Its goals include improved performance, station environment, and accessibility. It focuses on the customer experience, including many more countdown clocks, trip planners, and mapping. This all requires $40 to $50 billion that the MTA just doesn't have. At the same time, it has become clear that...
Summarize your remarks.
Oh, well, can I have, because I did my aside, can you give me 30 seconds more, please?
You can always
Okay.
testify.
Okay, anyway, let me just end by saying what I find long-term sustainable funding sources requires achievement certain items well-thought out plan, and we believe that congestion functions have to be an integral part of the sustainable funding package.
Well, why don't you guys stop being a fiasco?
Ma'am, we have a number. Ma'am, thank you. H.B. Schroer, followed by Councilman Yadanis Rodriguez, followed by Shamik Robinson.
Good evening.
because I'm a senior, not because I'm a veteran. I don't know if the public is aware of it, but veterans pay every day, those younger than 65, full fare. We don't think that's fair, and we need help. The mayor of New York City Council decided it was unfair, and they are now funding, effective January the 1st, to give veterans attending college in New York City the same discount as seniors. We think it's up to the board at this time to step up to the plate. The maze is the first step, but 95% of veterans will not be eligible. But therefore, you can help, because the governor, the big elephant that's not in this room, there are 2 bills in Albany that will provide a discount for all veterans. We ask your support to get the governor to support these bills. And the irony of it, it would cost 2 cents if dedicated from every fare, it would fund a veteran's discount. I ask the public here, if you think that a veteran service is worth 2 cents, please raise your hand. When are you going to raise yours?
HP, bravo!
Councilman Yadav Rodriguez, followed by Shamik Robinson.
Thank you, everyone, especially the member of the public. You're the one who deserve, a big round of applause for being here, making our voice standing for the voices. I'm here standing for the immigrants.
Shut up, he's Dominican. Have respect for him.
The middle class and the working class who are saying loud and clear, we should not deserve another fare increase. I'd like to thank the members of the board and
I'm going to throw the People's MTA under the bus on my speech.
This crisis did not happen overnight. I feel that in a city where we have more than 40% of New Yorkers living on poverty, where this city is mainly composed by working class and middle class, our focus should be on real solutions. Where the MTA should take the leadership, the city and the state should be your partner to identify different ways of how to raise the revenue, and you guys to control the cost and focusing on the maintenance and repair and making our station accessible. I feel that today there's great ideas on the table. Congestion price, increasing the contribution to the working New Yorkers. I hope that we can build a support. Hoy yo estoy aquí a nombre de los inmigrantes, los 900 neoyorquinos que están en desarrollo, la clase trabajadora y la clase media, que dice no a un aumento en el aumento de la tarifa, que dice busquemos otra solución, concentrémonos en mantenimiento y reparación y busquemos formas que la ciudad y el Estado trabajen juntos para que podamos llevar la MTA al nuevo milenio. I would like to thank you also the MTA for agreeing to come to a hearing next week at the council, as we will be discussing the fast moving plan. So thank you everyone, hoping that you will be there at our hearing that we will have next week, as we're going to be discussing in detail the plan that we support, but a plan that deserves real investment, and for the MTA to control the cost and be more transparent on how we invest money from point A to point C on maintenance and repair. Thank you.
Thank you. Shamik Robinson, followed by Mary Kessinger.
Good evening, my name is Shamik Robinson, and I'm here with the Writers Alliance, but I live in Harlem and I'm a working class citizen of New York City. And I'm here tonight to testify against the proposed changes. Riders across the city, taxpayers and citizens across the city, we need strong leadership from the MTA board, and more importantly, we need strong leadership from our taxpayer-funded elected officials in Albany to identify dedicated funding for the MTA buses and subways, and not to levy the additional cost on the backs of everyday working class New Yorkers. I don't have a car. I rely on the subway, I rely on the bus to get back and forth, to make daily appointments in my line of work for a nonprofit. It is literally similar to gambling. It is like rolling dice. You do not know what you're going to get when you go to the subways and the buses every single day. You may get there on time, you may get stuck in a tunnel, you may get delayed in the station, you may get a warning, you might not get notification. Since 2016, subways have derailed, action plans been put together, all this additional cost from our elected officials and funding has been established, but the service has gotten worse. And yet, you want more money from us. I don't know of any business model where people can charge more money for worse service. Most places with their bankrupt go out of business. Please dedicate funding from the state. Don't put this on everyday New Yorkers like us. Thank you.
Hello. I came here to say no to the fare increase. I think that what's happening is that you are fighting the wrong battle. You are increasing the fare, and what's going to happen is that you're going to have even less ridership. You say you need more money because the ridership is declining. Well, you increase the fare, it's going to decline even further. It's time for you to stop taking the money out of the working poor. And it's time for you to start looking for other ways to subsidize the subway, such as taxing the employers. Because the subway is the economic engine of the city. It was built for that purpose years ago. It was designed to bring workers to work and to take workers home. And it should continue to do that. I think that if you look at kitchen table economics, what's happening is that my rent, so I'm now in the $39 hole per month. To raise the fare would be a hardship. So I think that it's incredible. I think that the MTA board should start developing some backbone and start taxing people that have significant money, like Jeff Bezos. From Amazon. He makes
Screw the people's MTA!
A second. He could afford the subway himself.
Suck it when you want it.
Vacation. It's time to start taxing the people that have the money. Thank you.
Edward Yu. Thank you. My name is Edward Yud. I'm an organizer for the Disability Pride Parade. My father, Louis Yud, was a proud transit worker, a civil engineer who for many years worked on designing and building the subways. Unfortunately, when he was forced to retire, he became disabled. And because 80% or more of the subways aren't accessible, he was not able to use the system that he had helped build. Just before he died, I filled out for him an application for Accessoride, which he was not able to use. My father was alive today what would he say to the 13 men and 2 women on the stage from the MTA? He would say that the 2 fare hike plans are bigotry, prejudice. Why? Why? Because according to the Daily News page 2 yesterday, the fare hike for people with disabilities to use accessoride is higher than for able-bodied people. That's a legal violation of federal law, the Americans with Disability Act. Almost 100 years ago, a man wrote a book of hate. His name was Adolf Hitler. He talked about the big lie. You tell a lie enough times, people will believe it. There's a big lie that there's not enough money for elevators. I invite all 15 people on the stage to go to your computers and Google free mass transit in the world. Many places in the world have subways that are free. Also, why don't you consider ramps and not elevators, which are cheaper? I'm wearing a shirt that says, piss on pity. Why? People with disabilities don't want pity. We want accessibility. We don't want pity, we want accessibility. Thank you very much.
Bruce Zimmerman, followed by Valerie Joseph.
Why you can't say hi, Jason? Oh, now right?
Andy?
Now right? We're gonna talk at Broadway.
Zimmerman?
My name is Bruce Zimmerman. I ride the M14 bus. The ridership's down 25%. The bus never come on time. The M960 buses sit down on Western Avenue, having coffee all the time. And M11 bus, they get stuck in traffic all the time. Something should be done about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Valerie Joseph, followed by Colin Wright.
Good afternoon. My name is Valerie Joseph. I'm the accessoride advocate for Brooklyn Center for the Independence of the Disabled. A fare hike would hit many New Yorkers hard, but it would hit people with disabilities hard. For accessoride riders, one of the MTA, options would mean an increase in the base fare to $3. This is a 9.1 increase, a higher increase than for other transit riders. That would make it extremely difficult for many people who ride accessoride, who depend on a Social Security check that comes in just once a month. Many people would have their disabilities be hindered and incomes capped. So an increase in the fare would mean a great deal of hardship. We oppose the fare hike, and we especially oppose the increase in the accessoride fare. Finally, my organization has sued the MTA over the poor maintenance of elevators, but the MTA has yet to settle this. The MTA hasn't agreed to settle our lawsuit to expand the number of accessible stations. It must do so before our votes on this fare hike come about.
Thank you. Colin Wright, over Pedro Valdez-Rivera.
Hi, I'm Colin Wright with Transit Center. Fare hikes are necessary evil. However, the service this agency offers to riders must improve if they feel like they're being fair to. This is especially true for riders with disabilities who cannot access the vast majority of your subway stations. Governor Cuomo can't continue to shift the MTA's financial burden onto riders. The state must create new and sustainable sources of revenue, and that includes congestion pricing. But I'm here to talk about a different policy called fare capping that you should roll out with the new fare payment system in order to make fares more equitable. Today, the least well-off riders purchase cash, single, or paper ride tickets and often end up paying more after a week or a month than those who can afford the upfront cost of unlimited pass. Where fare capping is done in a growing list of cities, single fares paid by those riders are capped when they reach the cost equivalent of an unlimited pass. Your new payment system is sophisticated enough to count how many times a rider uses transit within specific time spans and stop charging at the cost of a weekly or monthly pass. No need for these folks to cough up the entire cost of a pass at once to benefit from discounts. Now is the time for this board to make decisions on policies like fare capping so the capabilities can be included in the new fare payment system. We face many challenges in our transit network and in society at large. Weak agency finances, falling ridership, and stiff competition. To top it off, we face gilded age levels of inequality and relentless gentrification that's pushing folks to the periphery of the city. Given all that, why not ask yourselves whether there are opportunities to use your fare policy to make headway on some of these larger issues? Fare capping is a policy that can make transit faster and fairer and more convenient for riders and can make our city more equitable. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Pedro Valdez-Rivera. I'm a member of the Rise Alliance and I'm from Bedford-Stuyvesant in the Nature Building by the JMC Subway Station on Byrd Avenue, Warwick. I not support any proposal to raise the fare, and here's why. I have a personal story real quick. It affects my family real hard in our everyday budget. For example, 4 of my siblings, 3 sisters and 1 brother, are working on have minimum wage jobs, like working class, like middle class basically. Unfortunately, they don't get benefits for pre-tax transit benefits because they don't earn a lot more money, and they don't get benefits because they don't make much less money. So they also rely on the manufacturer card, 7 day or 30 days, and that affects their bottom line. Every single dollar raise could affect the decide whether it's a Metro card or other necessities, whether it's a meal, food, clothing, or other necessities. And finally, on behalf of the Rise Alliance and my family and myself, we want Governor Cuomo and the state legislature to fully accountable by finding reliable source of sustainable funding to fully fund not just the MTA's Fast Forward plan as first architected by Andy Byford, which I have faith with, as well as the rising operating costs. I have faith that they will pull through in a not too distant future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nick Otto, followed by Terry M. We'll be followed by Lucia Yan.
Good evening. My name is Nick Otto. I live in Bridgeville, New York. I think one of the biggest issues with people having MTA is that they fail to deliver on the renovations and service projects on time and on budget. I would implore the board to not increase the fares until they can prove to us they can deliver these projects on time and on budget. We have this L train shutdown coming on, and I don't think anybody's comfortable with that being shut down for any length of time longer than this. Thank you.
Terry M. Followed by Lucia Yan.
Okay, so good evening, fellow riders. I'm just going to try to make this very brief. Accessibility is a right. It's also a civil rights issue. And for those of you who don't know, I'm a disabled person. I'm visually impaired, legally blind. I also have a medical disability. I'm also a Black woman. And we know, if anybody has been living under a rock, the history of Black people in this country, civil rights movement, Jim Crow laws, segregation, yes, even in the North, whites only water fountain, that's what my mother and my grandmother grew up with. I don't have the whites only water fountain, but what I do have is excuses for why New York City, specifically MTA at this point, but other venues of the city, are not accessible to disabled people. The ADA has been in effect for 26, 27 years. You knew you would have to deal with this issue to modernize and make the subway system accessible, and you've been dragging your feet. And you want us to go along with that. You know what other groups have to go along with that? Black folks, brown folks. We'll give you your freedom. We don't need your slave labor. We'll give you the right to vote in due time when we feel you deserve it. We deserve accessibility now for disabled people, disabled black folks, brown folks, not on your timetable. Because you had time to work this out, and it's still not done. So, my remarks are this. Accessibility is a right. I don't feel we have to keep waiting for you to make up your mind, because like my people, if you keep waiting, you're not going to do anything. So we're going to keep the pressure on. That's my remark.
Thank you.
Greg, I'm on fire tonight. Hit them out! I'm on fire tonight.
But I do use subways and buses. I'm here to say no to a fare hike to $3. The $3 fare hike, as I understand it, is not going to improve service or make all of our subways ADA accessible. We should really consider another source to finance the Lancaster bus turnaround program. I think we should consider convention pricing. It's not a panacea, but it does help. We can't just keep raising the fares and, poor working class New York is struggling. I know people even at $2.75, they'll run errands in a way to take somebody one way and get the free transfer. So yes, let's do condition pricing and we'll do it after $3. Thank you.
Thank you. A Z, followed by Jessica Murray, followed by DJ Watkins.
Hi, my name is Kay. I live in South Brooklyn, but in the past 16 years, I've taken every single MTA line across the boroughs, and I'm here to tell you how all your proposed plans have not helped the service, but has only gotten booked. They're not stranded underground in the middle of nowhere trying to get home. Or waited 30 minutes on narrow platforms with all the crowds just to wait for a train, but a train never comes. And she also talks about budget deficits that waste money on things like putting yellow arrows on the floor and expecting you to look at them to get on a train. If you actually take a subway, you'll understand that does not work. MTA.info and train conductors are ineffective in delivering the delays and changes on the train to the point where I have to use actual Twitter to check on updates. And MTA board members, you know our answer to all your proposals, and it is unfair for us to pay for your increased fare hikes when we have to experience bad service all the time. It's like taking a shitty service. Delays are making us late to work and school every day, when congestions are making people faint on the platforms and inside of trains because of massive crowds and no air circulations. And I hope today that it's not just another hearing, that you pretend to care about our feelings, and I hope you actually listen to our concerns. And thank you for listening.
Jessica Murray, followed by DJ Watkins,
meeting. As you can tell by the comments, I think the timing of this fare hike proposal is really bad. The service is not increased to a level where people would feel that a fare hike is justifiable. I'm a person who uses an unlimited Metro card, and I have the freedom to take the subway and the bus as many times a day as I want for a flat rate. If I only make one round trip a day, I pay around $4. For someone with a disability who relies on paratransit, they pay $5.50 for 1 day of travel, one round trip. That's not justifiable, that's not equitable, that's not fair. If you're going to raise the fare, think about the 40% of New Yorkers with 40% of New Yorkers with disabilities who are living in poverty, and what 25 cents per ride would add up to for them. That's really all I have to say. I think the accessibility issue, as you know, is something that I've been fighting for, something that I've been speaking out for months, and it's not really fair to raise the fares for people who don't really have the option to use the subway. And they've been waiting a long time for elevators and people access to the subway. Thank you.
Thank you. DJ Watkins, Jason Nara, David Zuckerberg.
I think we're all on some level aware that things need to get better. That being said, now is not the right time to bring these here. The people who are most directly impacted by what's happening are already being displaced. Financially can't afford it. I can say that I am lucky enough to be able to afford a Metro card, but after being priced out of my apartment, I don't know how that's going to work out for me. And I'm a city employee, so just tack that on there. I'm amazed at the lack of accessibility that exists in the city, especially when it's supposed to be so progressive. The fact that the people who are most impacted most and are going to be paying the most can't even really utilize the service makes zero sense. The fact that I don't think you take into consideration what it's like to be trying to go to a job interview and to miss it because we're delayed because of train traffic. It makes no sense to me that we can't seem to find a way to actually have a service that works for everybody. I think it would go a long way, to be honest, if there was more of a good faith effort, saying, hey, we know we kind of suck, we don't really have the money, but considering the idea, essentially, of maybe once a quarter, you pick it, one day, where you allow people to travel, because they're impacted, they lose time. We don't get reimbursed for that time. We're paying you for something that doesn't work and doesn't get better. So what kind of sense does that make? The other gentleman said it. What kind of business model is that? I'm considering just riding a city bike or finding another means of transportation because it doesn't make sense to lose that much time.
Good evening, Tim. Good evening to the rest of the MTA board, and especially to everybody. I'm here to speak today as a proud Amazon employee at the Standard Warehouse. The People's MTA will hate me for this because we don't need groups like them disrupting every single event. And I'm sick and tired of this. And the media should pay attention to my speech because it's not fair that it takes 90 minutes from downtown Brooklyn to Staten Island and getting on a packed S40 bus to get to and from my job. For instance, yesterday I was at 125th Street on the A, B, C, and D lines. I literally, when I was going on the station, saw a person going underneath their turnstiles. Does the People's MTA support that? Of course they do! because they don't want people to pay their fair share.
More people exist, idiot!
And, of course, I support every station to be accessible, but I support people to pay their fair share. And I think that not only Albany should pay their fair share. I think that Lord William Jr. and every even single county executive should pay their part. Because it's not fair that all the burden falls on Albany. It has to be in every single county, including Long Island, that is going to be the worst impacted by this fare and toll increase.
Thank you. Ronnie Rail, all by David Copperberg.
No, in January, we're going to have to 33, right?
What?
It's in 33. Did you hear about that?
Yeah.
About the peak and stuff. They'll peak and they're going to add the 33 that goes to Maryland's Harbor. And then that connects directly
No.
to 40.
I need the 40 because he lives from door to door. And besides, my commute is earning more.
You're the organizer?
I can't.
For the U.S. import when it opens, look up timetables, substantial renovations to some subway stations, but the bad really outweighs, the bad really outweighs the good. So, like, people have said, there's sponsorship, they really know, and the express trains don't really run express to Queens or to outer boroughs where most of New Yorkers have been displaced to. So, we're unable to hear the announcer for the delay. So it's on top of being late to where we need to go, to work, home, to daycare to pick up your child. We don't know. We don't bother to tell us why. So that even increases the anger. And we're all in a packed train. Sometimes, especially in the summer. And on the buses, there's some you can't hear the bus driver. Where are we going to get off? Or they don't stop at the curb, even though the curb has been elevated to meet the height of the entrance of the bus. So, and it's also very embarrassing to be a New Yorker in this international city, the capital for many industries, cannot provide its citizens with an adequate transit system. Thank you.
David Copperberg, followed by Julia Stevens, followed by Karen Bibles. Copperberg. Julia Stevens. David Copperberg, yeah. No. Julia Stevens. Aaron Bibles.
Hi, my name is Karen Fivek. I'm with the People's MTA. I wanted to bring you a modest proposal. I've been reading a lot in the news lately about this guy, Jeff Bezos, who has $100 billion or something. And so I thought it might be a good idea to fix the MTA by getting a giant net and catching him, right? Like a rabbit, and then taking his money, and then using that to fund the MTA. Now, maybe this sounds crazy to people, I don't know. But it also sounds pretty crazy that Albany wants to give this guy a $1.5 billion tax break when our subways are broken, when our subways are not accessible, when people can't take the subway to work, right? When we're being gentrified out of our neighborhoods, right? When CUNY can't fund a fully funded contract to pay adjuncts anything more than living wage, than poverty wage. So I just want to ask you, what sounds crazy in the year 2018? You asking for a fare hike when you just handed one of the richest people in the world $1.5 billion in free cash? Or what I'm suggesting? That's fine.
Isabel Nunes. Ariel Hirschhorn.
Hello everybody, my name is Charles Nunes. I'm a station cleaner for the MTA and a member of QW Local 100.
Here we go.
Featured in 60 Minutes and made it a point that you want a clean subway system. If that's true, why does the MTA in their upcoming budget list it eliminating 91 car equipment cleaners? Currently, trains are sanitized every 3 months. By eliminating these jobs, you're creating a cesspool of disease of those trains. And you want to raise the fare? Unbelievable. Myself and my co-workers are always blamed for the problems you guys created. Let me be clear to everyone here. Don't blame the folks wearing the orange vest. Blame the folks wearing the suits on this stage. One more thing, you have supervision, intimidating and pushing cleaners to the limit. The real problem are the trains taking people to the destination on time. Stop trying to divert the problem and focus on the real issues. Better on-time service, more police presence, doing something with the homeless, and stopping the fare increase. That's what you should focus on. Thank you.
Ernesto Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez will be followed by Abby Farrell.
Hey, good evening, everybody. My name is Humberto Rodriguez. I'm a train operator. I'm also a member of Local 100. And I'm proud of everybody that's come before me. Like, you covered pretty much the gamut of everything. What I like to say is that I don't believe the fare does not go into our pockets. We're not getting a raise next year. We're getting a $500 stipend, which you have to understand, yes, it's going to be $250. But the stations and trains are falling apart. And guess where our crew rooms, our locker rooms, our bathrooms are? We're in the stations. We're in solidarity with the people. We don't want the fare. We want better service. We want better conditions for our customers and for us. And we also want to get rid of the draconian disciplinary system that we have. TA spends millions of dollars putting us through the ringer, suspending us for being late, just imposing a draconian system. Anyway, to summarize, we don't need a fare increase. The system's getting worse. I've got 17 years on here. I haven't seen improvement in service, in stations, communication. Like the lady was saying, you get information from Twitter before we get information via the radios. So don't believe that. Listen, we're with you guys. We're trying our best. You know, we come in on the holidays, on the weekends, overnight. We work 3 shifts. The train never stops for y'all. We don't stop for y'all. It's these guys over here. So, thank you.
Imagine this. Every day having to walk 50 blocks in the cold winters, hot summer, rain, snow, and sunshine. This is my reality. My name is Abby Farrell. I'm a student at John Jay College who is on financial aid. I live in Long Beach and I take the long run every day. Because of financial constraints, I cannot afford to take the subway, so I walk from Penn Station to John Jay, which is on 29th Street. Rarely am I able to find money to use for my Metro card. I save this money for the worst possible snow and rainstorms. Both proposals for the Metro card increases make it harder for me to pay for the subway. The proposed LIR fare hike will make it harder for me to afford college. My dream is to become a special education teacher. Please allow me to achieve this dream by being able to get to school. Please don't raise the fares. Thank you.
Reed Ruby. Mr. Ruby will be followed by George Cower.
Thank you. I say yes to Fast Forward, and I look forward to improved transit. I thank you all for what you are doing, what you've done, and what you are doing in this regard. I say no to the proposed fare hike because that alone will not solve our budget problems. And because I support the free transit like many other cities, it's been discussed earlier tonight. I say yes to a comprehensive funding plan centered on congestion pricing, to fix our subway and make our streets safer. Congestion pricing can be designed to be fair and equitable. Congestion pricing is the best way to fund our ailing transit system. Thank you and good luck.
George Cower, followed by George Hackles.
Hello everybody, I'm George Calfer. The first thing is, obviously I do support any sources of funding, congestion pricing, anything, but given you know, if it's a choice between option 1 or option 2, it gotta be option 2 because that keeps the loans. You get your money up front, you know, there's, you know, it saves like the bonds and everything, you get the money up front, it's, you know, better financially to encourage the discount. The other thing is the priority has to be the service. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen me out in Staten Island and everything. I live there. I mean, one of the things is you guys haven't given information on what you use to justify your any decisions at all, good, bad. It's like, you know, people are like, oh, the system is terrible. Give us what we had before, what we had before, what we had before. And then you put something back, or you put some of the bad stuff back, take out some of the good stuff. It's like, oh, well, that's not what we did. You know, you gotta justify everything. I mean, one of the things is reliable service, and then you extend the City 34 to Houseville Street, and those drivers weren't even asking for it. They were like, fine, it's great they got back to Cambridge Street, it's reliable now. There's the Island Boulevard riders that wanted the extension to Houseville Street, you're just, oh, well, the X12 used to go there, so now we're going to put the 34 back. I mean, that doesn't make sense. And then, you know, for the off-peak service, you know, nobody wants to have the conversation about covering more of Staten Island or more Manhattan. Manhattan has a million subway options. You're scared that people say, oh, I don't want to transfer, and then people who have to transfer Staten Island are waiting for the local bus that runs every 30 minutes, and on the South Shore, some routes don't even run at all. I mean, you know, you can't be scared of politics, this, that. If it's the right thing to do, you do your numbers, show your calculations, and, you know, we'll back you up. I mean, in Mariners Harbor, you know, we're going to get the 33C, but we didn't want the off-peak service from the SIM 2. Take our bus, cut it back to downtown, give the SIM 2 riders everything. They support it, we support it. That's their politics in the room right there. But nobody wants to have the conversation. If you're going to give more money, you need to show that you're going to use it efficiently. And, you know, that's it. Thank you.
George Hackles, followed by Curtis Sliwa, followed by Kathleen Collins.
My name is George Hackles, and I'm the president of the Institute for National Urban Mobility. I work as a New York City-based nonprofit concerned with reducing motor vehicular congestion and improving the livability of dense urban places. I work strongly opposed the MTA's proposed fare hikes and urges the agency, working with the New York Metropolitan Transportation Council and its partners in the 22 million person New York, New Jersey, Connecticut metro area, to launch a comprehensive study of how the region should fund its extensive public transit network. Endless fare hikes are not the way to solve the problem of the region's ever-growing roadway congestion. A coherent strategy of carrots and sticks is needed. Endless sticks, like fare hikes, combined with more sticks, like toll hikes, won't do it. An attractive and well-maintained public transit system is vital or the region's economic and environmental health. There are many entities that benefit, including property owners and motorists, as well as transit users. The region must move beyond the current funding plan, which is an endless series of ad hoc actions prepared in a complicated political battlefield. A thoughtful, data-driven plan can and should be prepared by the agencies charged with this mission with considerable public discussion and review. It's time for the MTA board to stand up and call for such a plan. Thank you.
Curtis Lewa, followed by Kathleen Collins, followed by Carrie.
I've been riding the subway since I was 5 years old on my own. I'm 64 now, so I was baptized in the subways. I've seen it in good condition, bad condition, and to unsafe condition. But yesterday was a perfect example. We saw the thrill of victory, right? The NASA satellite lands on Mars after traveling millions of miles.
Oh, God.
And then all of a sudden we hear, after an 8-minute delay on the signal, an 8-minute delay, touchdown! Great! This is great for America, great for the world, right? And then on the very same day, the agony of defeat. The number 7 train, you spent months, years. You rerouted trains on the weekends. You said you were putting in a new signal system for gazillions of dollars of our hard-earned tax dollars, and you failed miserably yesterday. Did you start this hearing today by apologizing to everyone for that failure? Of course not. But you had the chutzpah, the culions, the huevos that asked for a fare increase when every day I see mentally disabled people and homeless on the train. Now, don't stop the train if somebody is medically ill, and that's good. But if someone's having a psychotic episode, do you stop the train? Do you get them help? No. You see men and women wallowing in their own urine and feces. Do you help them? No. And where's Governor Cuomo, who claims he's not in charge? Well, just give me the power, I'm in charge. Tomorrow he's going to be with the President and the Transportation Secretary, Chow, in Washington. And that's a good thing. He's going to argue for money for the Gateway Project, the tunnel that will connect Jersey and New York, a new transit system line. But will he be asking for money for the MTA? Of course not. He'll say, I'm not in charge. You all are the MTA, the money-taking agency that does not provide service, that does not provide clean trains, that leaves the homeless and the destitute and the mentally ill to fend for themselves. You should all be, you're a double genre. You should be disgraced.
Ooh. This is getting very intense.
Kathleen Collins.
This is getting intense,
Good evening,
people.
ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time. That is a hard act to follow. However, I will try my best. I noted in his statement, he stated that he's been riding on the subway system since he was 5, and he is now 64. Well, I hate to say it, but I'm 61. And I haven't been able to ride on the subway system, except maybe twice. Once I rode from, I remember, was riding from Port in Brooklyn back to my home office at the World Trade Center. I worked for the Court Guard of New York, New Jersey for 30 years as an attorney. So I know what it's all about. Also, I have a degree in accounting and I passed the CPA exam. So I understand finance too, and I understand the law, and I understand also justice. And all I ask is that any fare increase
that it not be discriminatory against people with disabilities, because any of you up there could become a member of my group, a person with a disability. You see, we don't discriminate against anyone. Anyone can join our group, temporarily or permanently. And making this subway system accessible and making things more accessible.
People, we got breaking news to report. There is no 7 train, both local and express, between 74th Street Broadway and Metz-Willis Point. This is due to a person struck by a train by Metz-Willis Point. Long Island Railroad is cross-honoring at Penn Station, Woodside, and Flushing Main Street. As an alternative, people could consider the Q32, the Q48, or the Q67 buses. If you need to access the area of Jackson Heights, use the E, F, M, and R trains at this time.
My Brooklyn neighbors and I are facing the L train shutdown next year, so really we're already being asked to sacrifice a lot. Basically because of this, I'm afraid that it's going to discourage people from taking the subway and the bus at a time where we really need to be, making sure that people are taking public transportation over private companies like Uber and Lyft, for hire vehicles and cars. So again, we can be discouraging ridership. The way that you guys are trying to blame that on turnstile jumpers and saying that all of a sudden thousands of people are jumping turnstiles a day is ridiculous and criminalizing poor people. So it's really because of the service, so you need to make sure that service is there. Just
check your Twitter.
With another fare increase, we need Albany to provide a full funding plan to fix the subway now.
Adobe Nicola, followed by Theodore Miller.
Hello, I'm Adobe Anunquo. I'm a native New Yorker. New York City promised Jeff Bezos $1.525 billion. How is money being allocated in this city? How does the city have over $1 billion for one of the biggest monopolies in the world but doesn't have money for the MTA? Why are we paying for that? Didn't we just have a fare hike last March? How are these decisions being made? What does that fare hike get us? What kind of conversations are you guys having? Can we see the numbers? Where does it end? I'm located currently in Greenpoint. I'm not sure if many people are familiar with Greenpoint, but the 2 trains I'll have access to is the L and the G. Do you know the bedtime now? The L train does not work after 10:45 during the week, and on the weekends it doesn't run at all. Some weekends, I do not have a way to get out of my neighborhood, because the G also doesn't work some weekends, so I'm stuck. I work and go to school in the city. I was unable to take some night courses this semester in fear of not being able to find a route back home. The L train is to completely shut down in April, but I'm set to pay more money when it's going to be nearly impossible to leave my neighborhood. Did you know I checked the L Twitter this morning at 8 a.m. before leaving my house? By the time I got halfway to the train, I checked the status and the L train was experiencing delays. In the 5 minutes it took for me to walk to the train, the L had shut down. During the morning rush, this means I have to walk an extra 15 minutes to get to the G train. I live in a city. The G train goes between Brooklyn and Queens. So I've read up on the MTA issue a bit, and it seems that a part of the problem is that the ridership has gone down. So the MTA is not getting enough money to keep up with the repairs that are needed. What do you think is going to happen now? Thank you.
Theodore Miller.
on being in office for so long. Okay, that I commend you on. I commend the audience out here for their service and their
What are you waiting
representation.
for?
My name is Gilman Miller. I'm one of the
You should
community
interview
service
me,
representatives
Dan.
of Queens. And I'm standing before you to say
Shaking my head.
every organization in New York has a
Blah.
missionary statement. That missionary statement states what they do. Okay? And I'm a public servant. So under your titles, you do public service work for the people, not for yourselves, and you're not a private organization. You are a public organization for the people. Whatever's going on there in the organization that you is underneath you or on the board or anywhere else, you're not supposed to be doing it. Okay? You're supposed to be working for the people. Every city in New York, organization that is part of the city, works for the people. If you guys are going to be privatized, you're going to be a private organization, you got to state that to the people. And let the people know that. Don't hide it. That's all I got to say.
Michael Horowitz, followed by Stephanie Hartman, followed by Victor Tia.
Good evening, folks. We are still here at the public hearing here at Borough College. We are still live streaming it on YouTube.
Oh, hi. Okay. Much of what I wanted to
We
say
still
is
have
said multiple
the
times
People's
already.
MTA
One thing I want to
comrades.
add in particular
Some
is
of them. And
30
also Mr. X is still here.
It's not making any sense to me what's going on with that. The last fare increase
Only two public speakers has mentioned to now the situation regarding the Long Island Railroad, myself included. And also I want to come on the air to report that there's service changes affecting the 7 train as we speak in Queens due to a person struck by a train at Midwest Point. As a travel alternative, the Long Island Railroad was honoring at Penn Station, Woodside, and Flushing Main Street along the Paul Washington line. If you need to get to Jackson Heights to 74th Street Broadway, you can take the E, F, M, and R trains or the Q32 bus that serves between Manhattan and
Stephanie
Queens.
Hartman, followed by Victor Tien, followed by David Kupferberg.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Hartman. I live in Bedford-Stuyvesant. I've been in New York for about 10 years. And that
we're gonna continue to be on
last night,
YouTube
it took me over 2 hours
to cover
this is not unusual.
the public hearing that is right now around
almost every day. We're hurting.
it's around 6:30ish.
Countless hours of productivity,
So
and no longer have any
thank you
faith
for
left
joining
in
us on
this.
Periscope,
And
and
you're
we'll
asking
continue
for
our
more.
coverage on YouTube.
How is that a sustainable plan? How is that helpful to plan for the future? Especially as we're about to, this coincides perfectly with the loss of the L train, which is going to be absolutely devastating. I rely on the JMZ to get to work in Manhattan, and it's just going to be completely overwhelmed, and I don't see, it's still missing a comprehensive plan on how you're going to meet that increased need. Give us something for our money. New Yorkers are tough, and we tolerate a lot from the city, but we need the city to love us back. You can't just keep asking and asking and asking and not giving us anything. This is a national embarrassment. Like, New York is supposed to be this world-class city, and we can't even get to work on time, we can't get to school on time, we can't get errands done, we can't get to doctor's appointment. This is a regular, everyday occurrence, and we're really, really sick of it. Thank you.
David Cuthbert.
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I'm unfortunate commuter on Island Railroad for the past 10 years. I have only three simple questions. First, as far as I know, you guys do not own the system. You guys do not pay for the system. Well, we, as taxpayers, providers, or commuters, pay for it one way or the other. So how come it is up to you to decide for the fare hike? Is that false? Second, is the fare hike in any way tied to any performance target? Especially given your miserable performance last week, the first month, November. It's a snowstorm in November. How strange is that? Third question. I have filled out multiple types of performance survey, either on paper or by email. I believe I answered all the questions. I provided all the ratings honestly and on the way. Can we see the result of these surveys? I'd very much like to see how my fellow riders, my fellow commuters rate.
David Cuthbert, followed by Comrade Shahid.
This is in reference to item B342. Should any bus route from the St. George Ferry Terminal in Staten Island have more than 10 passengers per hour clock face daily between 1 a.m. and 5 a.m., you have absolutely no right to reduce service on these routes whatsoever. Many of these times for trips to the ferry terminal depend on the route. But should any of those routes actually have less than 10 passengers per hour, some could be St. George at half past an hour. This makes me curious. What is the hourly overnight trip data for the M2 during these times? Should it be more than 10 passengers per hour clock face at the NLP? Then M1 service must operate all the time north of the street. Now is the time for you to update the MTA New York City Transit service guidelines from the perspective of the customer, not yourselves. For example, if the current coverage guideline for bus service were enforced in Manhattan, half of the routes that operate in the north-south direction would have to be discontinued. The loading guidelines for bus service must also have to change in order to compete with the automobile, as well as with Uber and Lyft. This means that the loading guidelines would have to be graduated for all time periods with no standees ideally during the off-peak and hours. The implementation of this practice for subway service, however, would be problematic. The trade-off is that subway schedules have to be based on the reality of ongoing
help them so when they come to the subway, it doesn't mean that you have
We're
to
back.
leave the
Sorry
whole
for the interruption.
You got the stink. They need your help. So we have to find that thing. And as
Joyce Denny, followed by Wendy Frank, followed by Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer.
Good evening. My name is Joyce Denny, and I'm a resident of Queens for 37 years, living in the same house. One of my problems is we were using the Jamaica bus line at one time, then transit took it. I used the QM21. Most mornings, as a matter of fact, last month I've documented 5 times that bus never showed. I've been to the depots, I've called 511, spoke with people about it, and they kept saying, oh, ridership is low. But I'll tell you, when they took over from Jamaica bus line, our bus was prosperous. Everybody was on the bus. Sometimes you couldn't even get a seat. However, they have discouraged us so badly using the QM21 by not showing up. I've been docked about 3 times on my job. Now my job at NYU, we have to put our fingerprints. I've already been written up twice because of this bus not showing up. In the winter, it's worst. In the evening, sometimes you wait and there is no form of communication. You stand there, you wait on the bus. You never know whether it's coming or not. I usually call 511. It takes forever to get somebody to speak with. I call Baisley Depot, which covers that bus. and they're very rude, they're nasty. And they say to you, there's nothing we can do, the buses out there, and in a minute they'll hang up on you. That is not the way people should be treated. The other thing is, I'm wondering, I want to say this, the reason why I use the 21, aside from the train being so dirty and uncomfortable, is because I was pushed out on the train tracks in 1981 to East 18 and Church Avenue, in front of the D train. So I'm still suffering from that. I've been to therapies like crazy. Can't use it anymore. But my point is, I know the fares have been raising so often. My thing is, for years, the fares have been raising. And my question is, what were they doing with the money they were saved? What are they doing with the money that they saved back then? That now they're giving us little drinks and drabs of reconstruction or whatever they say they're doing.
Please,
and now they're asking for money. My thing is, where's the transparency? I would like to know the amount of money you use and your mode of transportation.
Thank you. Wendy Frank, followed by Manhattan Borough President Gail Brewer.
Last time I came to one of these public hearings, I asked the entire board, raise your hand if you've taken the 3 train to 148th Street. Okay. Getting better than last time. Raise your hand if you've taken the ABCD to 145th Street. You should have all your hands up, especially the former head of the city planning. Well, I invite you all to come on a tour with me one day. You will find no accessibility at both of these train stations. What astounds me is the assembly member, who's not here tonight, has had his district office, who's worked for the assembly member for a couple of decades, and steps away from his district office is a train station that's not accessible. There's flooding. When you leave the train station, every time it rains and snows, there's huge ponding and floods, and there's no drainage that you should probably come and see the next time it snows and rains. Well, in addition, if you go to the 2-3 line, last week during the snowstorm, there was a safety issue because it was overcrowded. There's no staff at the 2-3 train stops at 125th Street or 135th Street. So you had overcrowding on the train platforms. The floors were wet. There were more homeless in the train stations, and there was no ambassadors, no staff, nothing at all. So it was an accident waiting to happen. And this has happened to me twice on the 3 train, where someone just drops their pants at what I call it number 2 on the 3 line. No staff, no one at all to even point this out, or even train conductors to say, like, this is a safety issue when you have people doing that sort of stuff, defecating on the platforms of the trains. So, in addition, besides the trains, the drainage, I invite you all to come on a tour. Everyone Lugassi says, can you kick it up a notch? So that's what I wish you could do, because the service right now is pretty bad.
Thank you. Borough President Gail Brewer, followed by Casey Roberts.
Thank you very much. I am Gail Brewer, Manhattan Borough President, and Wendy Frank is my friend. And in case you want somebody really good to work on the MTA, she might think you crazy, but she'll get the job done. She has a great job now, but just if I heard, she would help. Just a hint. So I'm here to talk about several things. One, on the fare hikes, as I think you'll hear from others, riders should not be asked to continue paying more for less. That seems to be the mantra, but it is true. I do want to say to thank you though, because the Fast Forward plan has a lot of the right ideas. Our commutes, however, have gotten longer. They are, as you know, less reliable, and riders do leave for more reliable services like Uber and Lyft, which is what we do not want, and none of us want it. I am supportive, as others, of congestion pricing. I think it's the most feasible source of revenue. I think it's at a scale that would truly help save the problem, maybe $1.5 billion. And maybe with the state Senate majority on the Democratic side, we can get that. We do need the revenue to make this plan work. On the eve of yet another fare increase, however, I once again call on the MTA to become more transparent, to be reliable, and to be trustworthy. And I think you have to pursue a program of cost cutting in areas that do not affect basic services like salaries and borrowing costs. You must also work on all aspects of avoiding raising the single ride and excess ride fares, because they do impact some of our most vulnerable residents. And I hope we can find new revenue on asset sales or leases. I want you to open your books to independent public review and analysis of capital and operating costs, because I think that will give you more credibility. An example of one of the challenges that we are facing in my community of Manhattan is the M96 bus service in our borough. We recently learned that the MTA intends to renege on its promise to upgrade the M96 to select bus service. Just last year, the agency agreed with the city to implement a bus forward plan that would create 2 to 3 new select bus routes each year going forward. Just a few months afterwards, however, the MTA deferred the upgrades through at least 2021 without consulting the city or announcing the change of plans. The decision was buried in the financial documents. The planned upgrades to the M96 set to begin its rollout in 2019 were a long time coming. We continually get complaints from riders about the poor service of the M96, and a lot of riders have left since 2013 this bus. Neither of the reasons explained as to why we're not getting this service and why it's delayed to be an SBS are legitimate. The route is one of the shortest in the city. It would be inexpensive to upgrade, just $1.8 million additional operating dollars. And of course, the MTA does have a very large budget. The Manhattan bus route design will not substantially alter the M96 route. So the reasons that we've heard why not to do it do not apply to the M96. So I want to say this is what I'm going to focus on today. President Byford, you have promised to do everything in your power to avoid service cuts, but the M96 postponement is de facto a service cut. 15,000 daily riders on this service. We have written a letter, as you know, with all the local officials, and we hopefully will pay full attention to it. We know that as New Yorkers, we understand that the MTA is in a crunch. We can make sacrifices for better service. We have those fast track station closures and weekend service suspensions and fare hikes, but you can't ask New Yorkers to put up with another fare hike when it comes with service cuts that will make the MTA's long-run problem of falling ridership worse. Restoring the M96 SBS upgrade is an easy way to send a message to New Yorkers that the MTA hasn't given up on improving service. I thank you. I take that bus. I live right near. I also take the subway. I took it all weekend. And I have to say, in my situation, I didn't have any problems, but others do. So there's a lot of good to pass around, but please give us our SBS M96. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Stacey Roberts, followed by Mary Callum Carey, followed by David Gerber.
Good evening. How y'all doing? I heard about this fair hike is really becoming an issue, and my reaction is, what you talking about, MTA? Okay. Well, anyway, just to say that everything's becoming an issue with the fair hike that's been going on, because they shouldn't be doing this a lot like every 2 years. Because a lot of people, they're running short amount of funds and everything. And also I know how hard it is that some of these persons have been doing a lot of evasions and everything. I did warn some of these people to be careful, they'll get a $100 fine. And the circumstances here about the subway trains and everything, they've been having a lot of issues with the high-tech. The high-tech trains have become a lot of issues with mechanical problems. And when I got a text over here, a friend of mine had just sent me that the LIRR train must upgrade the old equipment of the M3 car groups, and because they run well and run a lot faster. And just to have a nice refurbished program for them too. And the M2s must remain in service because in case of emergency uses, because mechanical problems on the M8s and M7As have been having mechanical problems as well too, and becomes an issue. And so they can last long for a lot of reasons. And also the 7 train with the CBTC that the circumstances whether they cannot operate old equipment on that certain line. And also the Q32 bus all the way to Main Street. Extend the Q32 bus all the way to Flushing Main Street, and the yard to save the remaining M2s, and also just don't make the number 7 train to become the CUTC. So. And also the problems with the new tech trains of the R142s and all the 143 to the subway riding every day. So I'll keep you posted for more details. Take care.
Thank you. Mary Callum-Tarian, followed by David Gerber.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mary Callum-Tarian. I'm a taxpaying citizen of the city of New York. The public transportation system is the engine of our economy. We cannot exist without it and cannot contribute to the economy without it. Yet New York taxpayers are being hit 3 times for the MTA service. We pay city taxes, we pay state taxes, and we pay fares that keep going up and up. But as far as I can tell, more of our tax dollars are going to corporate bailouts than to our ailing subway system. And for what? We keep paying more for service that gets slower and less frequent. Do you know how long I have to wait for an F train on the weekend during daylight hours? Sometimes up to 20 minutes. That's kind of ridiculous for a main route in New York City. It can take me up to an hour to get somewhere, let's say within 90 blocks in Manhattan alone. I'm not even crossing a river. And how long do I have to wait for a T train? I'll keep waiting for that one. So why are we New Yorkers not getting subsidized fares? Why aren't we shifting some of the burden to the millions of tourists who come with their big bucks and spend all their money in the stores doing their shopping? Why aren't we adding per head per capita tax rates for the hotels and at the ports of entry? What about the corporations and the private car services that are clogging up our streets?
Followed by Karen Rahman.
Good evening, everyone. I know I'm going to say make no difference in the MTA board meeting in December, but I would have a few things. I want to say thank you for these meetings today. I want to say thank you to Mayor de Blasio meetings today. I want to say thank you to Mayor de Blasio and
Warren Wilhelm Jr.
who give up $3 billion to incentives to Amazon so they can be in Lawn City. But can they pony up another $3 billion in Lawn City? But can they pony up another $3 billion so that President Biden can realize his vision of the Fast Forward plan? Mayor de Blasio and Andrew Cuomo, this message is for me.
Andrew Cuomo.
Show us the money. Fix the system now. Show us the money. Go after fare beaters. You know, it's a crime. It's a crime. It depletes the revenue. It depletes the money needed to fix the system. It really is. Poor people exist. That's why they're getting subsidized with the fares.
Well, fare beaters exist too.
If it can have money to subsidize everything else, then Mayor de Blasio and Cuomo should give the $3 billion to fix the system.
Long Island Railroad riders exist too.
Or on the new buses, they still have on the ad, on the new buses overhead a sign, the M6, the M104 for Madison Sons going to Times Square. And finally, just on another note, not related to the fare hike, there are 2 vehicles parked outside. They're both illegally parked with improper placards. So, and they're both by MTA Bridges and Tunnels. Avenue, 1 on 23rd Street, obstructing the hydrant.
Daniel Muir, followed by Karen Rahman.
Exactly. Show us the money, transparency.
All right, is 6.
You want some ideas on how to raise money? You should get a Wall Street tax. Tax their transaction 1 or 2 cents.
Mr. Mayor?
Then you can fund the MTA. It's not coming to working class and middle class.
Why you guys don't shut up and let the Long Island Railroad Riders get their share also?
Fellow speakers, everyone is given 2 minutes to comment.
I'm not going to tell you again to stop yelling like that, okay?
Everybody's time. Thank you. Mr. Mayor?
But tell that to them also. For the record, I want your name. I'm getting that employee's name. It's a disgrace.
For a good year or so. And one of the things I've heard, besides the fares that will be going up, for sure, as they probably need to, they need money. But we also need to know something like fair fares. I have heard very little about what's going on, but I do know one thing from what I've read and what I've looked at so far on the internet, which is that $106 million has already been earmarked for at least the first half year going into 2019. It is the law, it's been signed off on. And I would just like to know, in my minute or so left, if anybody can talk to me from the city, is that MTA going to make sure that they go by what the law says starting January 1st and giving the fair fares to those that deserve it? There's probably several 100,000 people that qualify for fair fares. And I'd like to know, I'm one of them, I'd like to know how I can make sure that from January 1st, I don't have to pay $127.50 for my new Metro card. I'd like to be paying $63.50. That would be really good. That would take me back to 1998 when they first started with the Metro card, or 97. Is there somebody with like 25
Sir,
cents?
we're outside the hearing room. We have staff that can give you an update on that.
Okay. Also, one other point I'd like to make about Wi-Fi. I don't know if any of you folks who travel on the train, just one extra thing. When you're on a phone call, try to put your phone call going in between stations. See how many times the call drops. So, I know you have the Wi-Fi, and I know a lot of money was spent on that. Can they upgrade that in a way that you don't lose the call in between stations when you travel? That's just something that, maybe could be worked on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Karen Robin?
Yes, good evening. My name is Karen Robin. I have 2 questions. I have a question regarding fine fare. I asked my city council member about a month and a half ago regarding it because I needed it at that time. She told me that it was not in the process, that they're trying to get a committee regarding the fine fare, and it won't be implemented until January 2019, even though it passed this year. That it's only going to be for, instead of everybody, will be for the weekly permit, which will be $16, and for the monthly permit, not for individuals. I need something for individuals. I cannot pay every month. I have to pay for 1 or 1.5 weeks, and then I have to walk the rest of the way. This is really getting a hardship for me, and I need it now. I don't know why it takes 6 months to implement. It was not supposed to be for a weekly. That means that I have to save $20 for the rest of the month to see when this comes, when I'll be able to get a ticket. This is not feasible for me, and it should be work for everybody. And also, it should be one fare, or you shouldn't have to pay for the monthly fare or weekly fare. That's one question. The second question I have is for the MTA said that they're buying the whole Grand Central Station. Why are they buying Grand Central Station when you can't have money to run the trains? I don't understand that. So somebody up there, instead of going there where it could be a secret conversation, I want to know with these 25 people here, can you tell me why that you're buying this, how much money is it going to cost, and why are you buying the whole Grand Central Station? How is that feasible? Thank you.
Thank you. time. We'll take a short recess. Thank you.
All right, folks, we're gonna take a break and we're gonna come back for more.